the mega El Niño of 2026, the year the world burned. Imagine waking up one morning and every road in your city is lined with bodies, not from a war, not from a bomb, from hunger. That was 1877. People ate grass, then bark, then nothing. Nearly 20 million people starved to death in a single famine, one of the deadliest in human history. But here's what the history books usually don't tell you. At the exact same time, the exact same year, China was experiencing its own catastrophic famine. 20 to 30 million dead. Brazil, 2 million dead. Egypt, Morocco, Ethiopia, and southern Africa. And in Minnesota, Americans recorded what they called the seasons themselves seemed broken. Half the globe was dying at once. Different continents, different governments, but the same invisible trigger. It wasn't a war, it wasn't a plague. It was a small patch of unusually warm water in the Pacific Ocean, thousands of miles from the people dying. Peruvian fishermen had a name for it. They called it El Niño, meaning the little boy, something so gentle sounding it's almost insulting given what it does. That year, El Niño didn't behave like a little boy. It behaved like a monster. Historians and climatologists now call what happened in 1877 a super El Niño, one of the most destructive climate events in the last 5 centuries. And now, 140 years later, the data is flashing red again. What is El Niño and why should you care? To understand why 2026 might be one of the most dangerous years in modern history, you need to understand how El Niño actually works, because it's one of the most elegant and terrifying mechanisms on this planet. The Pacific Ocean is the largest body of water on Earth. It's bigger than all the world's land masses combined. Across its surface, trade winds blow constantly from east to west, from the Americas toward Asia and Australia. These winds do something critical. They push warm surface water westward. That warm water piles up near Australia and Southeast Asia, making those regions wetter. Meanwhile, near South America, colder water rises up from the deep ocean. That cold water is rich in nutrients, which is why Peru has historically had some of the most productive fishing in the world. Warm water west, cold water east. Simple. Now, imagine those trade winds weaken. Maybe they slow down by 20%, 30%, 40%. Suddenly, the warm water that was being pushed west stops moving. It sits there, right in the middle and eastern Pacific, baking under the tropical sun. The cold water stops rising off South America, and all of that stored oceanic heat begins radiating into the atmosphere above. That's El Niño. And when the ocean releases that much heat into the air, wind patterns shift globally. The jet stream moves. Rainfall that normally hits one place falls somewhere else entirely or doesn't fall at all. Australia and Southeast Asia dry out. Wildfires ignite across millions of acres. Rivers run low. Crops wither. South Asia sees a weaker monsoon. And for over 1 billion people, that isn't just an inconvenience, it's a crisis. East Africa faces drought. Livestock die, harvests fail, famine conditions develop. The Amazon rainforest in Brazil dries out. Trees that have stood for centuries die. The forest begins to shrink. The United States gets hit differently depending on the region. The Southwest bakes. California faces intensified wildfire seasons. The Gulf Coast and Southeast can see unusually heavy rainfall and flooding. Europe experiences disrupted storm tracks. Some regions get wetter, others get drier. The winters become unpredictable. A standard El Niño event is already serious. It disrupts food systems, triggers droughts, and kills people through heat, hunger, and flood. But what's coming in 2026 is not a standard El Niño. The warning signs are already here. In April 2026, NOAA issued a stark advisory. There is a 61% probability of a significant El Niño forming. But it's not just the probability, it's the timing and the intensity. Europe's most powerful weather forecasting center is running models suggesting this could be the strongest El Niño event in 140 years. Some scientists have started using a new term for it, a mega El Niño. The Pacific Ocean's surface temperature could rise by 2 degrees Celsius above normal. That might not sound dramatic, but heating trillions of liters of water by 2 degrees releases an almost incomprehensible amount of energy into the atmosphere. The last time something comparable happened was 2015, a super El Niño that caused severe drought across 3 continents and record-breaking heat waves that killed thousands. And the signs are already visible right now. Delhi has crossed 40 degrees Celsius in April. Cities like Nagpur, Bhopal, and Bhubaneswar are already touching 45 degrees Celsius, and summer hasn't even officially begun. In Bengaluru, crayons left in the sun melted into colorful puddles. These are not anomalies. These are previews. The climate change multiplier. Here's where things get truly frightening, and this is the part most news coverage misses entirely. El Niño is not new. It has occurred roughly every 2 to 7 years for thousands of years. Ancient civilizations learned to predict it, adapt to it, survive it. What's different in 2026 is climate change. Because of a century of burning fossil fuels, Earth's average temperature has already risen 1.4 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. That warming isn't theoretical, it's baked in.
It's the new baseline. Now think about what El Niño does on top of that. A strong El Niño typically adds another 1.5 degrees Celsius of warming. In the past, that was survivable. In 2026, the math is different. Baseline, already 1.4 degrees Celsius above normal. Add El Niño, another 1.5 degrees Celsius. Total, nearly 3 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial temperatures. A temperature anomaly of 3 degrees Celsius has never been observed in the modern era. Scientists are genuinely uncertain about what happens at that scale because we've never been here before. Imagine a room already dangerously hot. Then someone turns on an industrial heater. That's where we are in 2026. How it hits each part of the world. Let's go region by region, because the impacts are specific and they're coming fast. India and South Asia. Below normal monsoon rainfall is expected for the first time since 2015. For a country where over half of agriculture depends on rain, that's a food crisis in the making. Heat waves are becoming more frequent, more deadly. Temperatures in Rajasthan touched 50.5 degrees Celsius, and the most dangerous part isn't even the daytime heat, it's the nights. When temperatures stay above 30 degrees Celsius overnight, the human body never fully cools down. Heat stroke risk multiplies. Scientists forecast that 2026 could break every previous record. Pakistan sits in the same danger zone. During the 2015 Super El Niño, over 2,000 people died in Karachi in a single week. Emergency rooms were overwhelmed. The power grid failed at the exact moment people needed air conditioning most. Australia faces severe drought and wildfire risk. Southeast Asia faces falling rice yields and shrinking water supplies. East Africa faces growing food insecurity. Brazil's Amazon could see record drought and wildfires, and the United States will feel it too. Drought in the Southwest, wildfires in California, flooding along the Gulf Coast, and rising grocery prices everywhere. The human cost that doesn't get counted. Heat doesn't kill equally. The people who die are usually outdoor workers, construction laborers, delivery drivers, farmers, street vendors, the elderly living alone without cooling, the poor trapped in urban heat islands. Globally, nearly 500,000 people die from heat every year, and that number is rising. But many heat deaths are never officially counted because death certificates often list heart failure or dehydration instead of heat itself. In the United States, heat kills more people every year than floods, hurricanes, and tornadoes combine. Yet it receives far less public attention. Heat also destroys incomes. For every 1 degree Celsius rise in temperature, workers in some cities lose around 14% of their daily income. On extreme heat days, losses can hit 40% because people simply cannot work. What governments are and aren't doing. Some governments are responding seriously, others are not. Europe invested heavily in cooling centers and heat action plans after the deadly 2003 heat wave. The United States has been uneven. Some cities are preparing, others are far behind. In South Asia,
heat waves are still not fully treated as national disasters. That means many victims receive little support. Meanwhile, cities continue cutting down trees faster than they plant them, even though studies show urban trees can reduce street temperatures dramatically. The difference between survivable and deadly heat can literally be shade, what you can actually do. This is the part where most climate videos either scare you or leave you hopeless. I want to do neither.
Here's what's actually in your hands. Protect yourself and your community. Stay indoors during extreme heat. Carry water. Keep oral rehydration salts at home. And check on the people most at risk. The security guard outside your building. The delivery rider bringing your package. The construction worker under the sun. A glass of cold water can save a life. Fight for your trees. Not metaphorically, literally. One mature tree cools the air for decades. The tree cut today cannot be replaced tomorrow. Reduce your carbon footprint where possible. Solar energy is cheaper than ever, and every step toward cleaner energy slows the warming, making these disasters worse. Vote, speak up, make noise, because policy changes matter at scale. Here is the hardest truth to sit with. The children born today may never know the kind of summers we grew up with. Cool evenings, open windows, green summers. Their normal will be different from ours. What kind of normal we leave them is still barely up to us. El Niño will pass. It always does. But the planet will keep getting hotter unless we change course. This year is a warning, not a death sentence. A warning. The question is whether we listen.